Good morning, good morning, good morning. Start of the recording. We're going over the Power of 3 stream update, new update today. So it's going to be fun. Shout out to everyone that's dropping a 1. Drop a 2 if you don't have the higher time frame Power of 3 tool. All right. Couple people. We'll be doing a giveaway at the end of the stream, so definitely stay along. We have a chance to win out the tool for a month or two. We'll see what happens. But without further ado, I'm going to share my screen. Let me know if you guys can see my screen. A couple people, if you guys can confirm, that'd be awesome. Take a sip of water. Good. All right, so I have a text box here already prepared, and I'm gonna basically go through all of the update logs like that we pushed towards the indicator today, and then I'm gonna go one by one from the logs to show you guys where it is in the settings, how it's used, and what you guys can benefit from it. Okay, sound good? All right, let's do it. All right. So a lot of text here, right? We're gonna go through one by one, but this is, let me get my arrow right here. So right here, this is basically the biggest part of the update. It's called Intra Candles, and you know a lot of people that have used the Power of 3 or have seen it on the charts. You know, we basically brought this onto the market back in 2023, and this was in April. So it was one of our first tools we've ever developed. Tools came a very long way. I'm sure you guys know that it's also a big part of the T-Trades fractal model. So, you know, we wanted to be able to set this tool apart and also create, you know, industry leading additions. And some of these additions, again, you will not see on any other Power of 3 tool. You know, I'm sure after our updates there, you're going to see some people try to, you know, imitate it, but it's never going to be the same. You know, we come out with these updates and very innovative with the team, and we want to make sure that that's brought to you guys first. So without further ado, these Intra Candles, what does it mean? So really what it is that if you have our daily Power of 3 on, and let's say we're on a 15-minute time frame, you now have the ability to go into the settings over here where it says Intra Power of 3 and show Intra Candles. So what this will do is it'll basically find any kind of OHLC that you want to toggle here and the candles that make up the daily candle inside. So watch. I'll toggle this on, and you'll see that there's going to be another Power of 3 that basically gets added, and that Power of 3 again is going to be the 4-hour time frame. So you can see that all of these are now 4-hour candles, and they're making up the actual daily candle. So you're going to basically be able to see now any candles that make up the larger higher time frame that you choose. And you can see that right here by the data table. You now have the daily candle and you have the 4-hour Intra Power of 3. So you have two different times as well as two different ranges. So what you can also do to just make it a little bit easier for you is you could also have these time labels right now. And I'm going to put the time labels on the major Power of 3, which is the higher time frame one. And you'll be able to see that these are, again, the daily candles. So now we have the labels, right? And if you wanted to, you could also add it for the 4-hour as well over here. I personally don't want to use the Intra Power of 3 time labels just because I want to focus on knowing that this is the higher time frame and I have it here. But this is a really cool addition if you also wanted to add the time labels as well there. So again, really what this concept does is allows you to see the actual 4-hour profiling, if you would, inside of this larger daily candle. And this concept's fractal. So you can do this for any time frame. On the right to be a higher time frame, and on the left of the intra candles to be any type of lower time frame relative to the higher time frame. So you can also move this to the left or right depending on your preference. I personally like looking at it to the left as it grows in the higher time frame, but that's up to you. You can obviously make it on the right if you want right here. and be loading in 2 seconds. There you go. So you can see that there's basically the ability to custom style it. And then this gap is just basically the gap or the distance away from each of them. So if you want to make them spaced out more, then you can make this, let's call it like 25 or 30. And you'll see that the actual gap between these two candles are going to expand. And it just gives you more flexibility on how you want to see the tool be personalized and placed. So you can see that happen right here. Does anybody have any questions right now on what they see? If they're excited, you know, you can obviously make this intra candle any type of size you want as well. So if you want to make this medium, because these candles are medium and you can kind of have them on the same width, that's also fine as well. So that's for the intra candles. Does anybody have any questions? Drop them in the comments. If any comments, excitement, let us know. But this is definitely a very, very cool feature. Yeah, so you could use this for Forex as well. This works on anything, right? So let's say you wanted to go on Eurodollar. Eurodollar right here. Excuse me. So here we are. Power 3 is about to get loaded in. So now you have your 4-hour candles and you have your daily candles. Works on any asset. So pretty cool. Does anyone not understand what these intra candles are or what they do? So this is again the intra candle toggle. You do the size, small, medium, large, left or right, the gap control for the spacing, and then automatic aggregate mode detection with chart time frame is greater or less than the intra time frame. And all that means again is saying that when you have a larger, higher time frame candle, it automatically detects how many candles are going to be inside of this larger, higher time frame candle. Yep, exactly. So we just went over the time labels as well. The time labels are being able to be toggled for the higher time frame candles, as well as, you know, changing the format. So if you wanted to do the AM and PM, this will have to be changed to, let's call it like the 4-hour. And then I'm going to change this to an hourly, and you'll be able to see that. Yeah, so AAHEUS, you got it right. So you can see again, here's the labels in the AM PM type of way. So if you don't want to use a 24-hour, then you could obviously change that as well. So that's a pretty cool feature. So right now I have the 4-hour and the 1-hour. So basically these are all hourly candles and these are the 4-hour candles. So however many hourly candles are making up this specific 4-hour candle is what's being displayed. So that's been pretty cool. So yeah, you can also, again, like I was saying, you can add the time labels to the intra pars if you want. And you can take a look at that right here. This will just give you ultimate understanding, excuse me, of where you are in price. So you can see that this 4-hour candle is basically the 6 to 10 o'clock candle, and then you have each hourly candle that makes up of it. So that's really, really cool. So we just went over the intra candles logic. We went through the time labels as well. And now this is a very cool feature. Shout out to Asha or Tempered Edge. He worked a little bit with the development team to try to get this all situated. He uses it in a pretty custom way. I'm sure that he'll be able to talk more about it. He's a moderator inside of our Discord and also a really cool guy overall. I want to be able to show you guys this, which is pretty cool. So I'll be able to go, I'm going to turn off the intra candles for right now. And what we're going to do is scroll all the way to the bottom over here where it says power of 3 volume. And you can actually show the power of 3 volume for these candles that are selected. So I'll show you how this looks. Shout out to you too. Appreciate all the development and the time that's gone into the update. Looks really, really nice. Trading view. There we go. So you guys can see now there is volume that is shown here on each of the actual 4-hour candles. If I move this to the daily chart, you'll see that this is going to be able to change now. So you'll be able to see daily volume here. And it also works for the session power of 3. So one of the cool ways that ATradesDaily uses this, right, is basically shows when daily candles or session power of 3 candles are basically going to be showing relative volume. And you can also use this show volume MA, which is the moving average, and that'll show based off of the last, however many candles you want to use for the moving average, see if relative volume is higher or lower than the average. So you can see that these 2 days had actually higher volume relative to the last 20 days. So that's been a pretty cool feature that's been added. I will show you a little bit about how he uses it and how it was also inspired. A lot of people know that basically the first hour of trade is something called the initial balance on index futures. So 9:30 to 10:30. And basically what we're able to do now is isolate volume as it relates to specific times of candles. So now if I have the 9:30 to 10:30 candle and I'm looking at initial balance, you could say, okay, well, does my initial balance have higher or lower volume relative to the past specific candles? So you can see right here that these 2 initial balance days, right? Let me get rid of this. That was a cool short, but let me get rid of this real quick. So these days, when the initial balance has higher volume, look at the follow through. That happens as well. So when the initial balance breaks, you could typically see when there's higher volume that there's actually going to be more follow through in a trend day. So this happens right here. We break the initial balance, we retrace, trend day. Break the initial balance, retrace, trend day. So I wouldn't necessarily say that there is like a quote unquote best like settings or best configuration. It really just depends on how you trade and what you're looking for in your trading, because this tool is extremely customizable. So it really just depends on your model. But if you have specific questions or you want more inspiration on what you can do with the tool, I'm happy to help. But yeah, this is basically now custom candles for the initial balance and also relative to the volume. So you guys can definitely check this out. It's pretty cool. You go to like a 5-minute chart and you can see when the initial balance breaks. There are pretty like clear like continuation signatures that you can also look at. So I'll show you. And get the indicator to load up. Here we go. So basically I had this whole move from high to low, and then once we broke, very clear fair value gap right here. It's the initial balance continuation. We have the same thing here. Series of candles. Use this. Inversion. This is all balanced. Price heads lower. That's really nice. You can see the same kind of signature here. We have a whole series of candles. Fair value gap. Inversion. Here. Continuation. Retracement. Never closes back above. Very nice signature and price right there. And then you have all this right here again with another inversion. And then price leaves this balance range. And this is PM continuation. So initial balance. Really, really cool. Definitely could take that into effect and look at that inside of your trading. But when the initial balance does have higher volume right here, you can definitely look for continuation signatures. And that's just one way to use it. So, and Asha says that, and on the IB session, for you London Asia traders, first hour of those sessions hold the same premise. So yeah, you can do the same thing. Definitely gonna be sharing some more charts about that, but that's a really, really cool feature. And yeah, let me get rid of this. Take a look at my text again, where we are. So we went over the Intra Candles, we went over the time labels, we went over the power of 3 bars. So we just did that for the power of 3, but you could also do it for the Intra Volume, Intra Candles for the Intra Volume to be displayed. We talked about the moving average, talked about the position, which this could be basically shown right here. So the position is basically above or below. So if you want to see these volume bars to be above the power of 3, you could also do that. The bar height. So this is basically something that you can experiment with too, to see like what you want to see for a personalization on your charts. But I do think that the standard is pretty good. Looks like we got a little trading view slap me. So let me go and refresh real quick. Come on, trading view. But yeah, as I was saying, you can basically move the volume above or below, and you can see that that's here. So that's pretty cool. And the gap, so this distance is also able to be customized right here. So this is basically the gap from the higher time frame candles. You can move this, as well as the bar height. This is the volume bar height. So you just might want to make that a little bit more specific and maybe a little small patch update, but that is the volume bar height, which is right here. The volume moving average, you can typically like want to see what it's like up to you and what you want to set. But if you were to like go to like the actual volume right here, and you can see that's just like kind of the standard of what comes out the gate on volume. But if you have different lengths that you want to use, then typically you can change that. So now we got all these nice labels, and I know that labels are a little bit of a pain when it comes to coding, but we made them work. So I can show you what we mean by that. So I'm going to put on the day with the 4-hour candles. And then I'm also going to put now the show info to on chart. I'm going to show you how this looks. MA is just moving average. So it's aggregating the last 20 volumes and basically producing a metric. So let's say like you have 20 volume bars, it's producing the average of those 20, and then it produces this line. So when you see this line and there's volume that's above it, this is basically higher volume than the last average. So I'm going to turn off this right here for right now. So you can see now you have the intra 4-hour power of 3 and the daily. So you can put these labels on the bottom right here. I personally like this on the bottom, but I know that there's a bunch of people that also like the table. So it's kind of up to you. And if you want like a full like view of price on a higher time frame, you could also do a 4-hour, a daily, and you could also do the weekly T-Trades profiling, which looks pretty cool. So now you have all these labels nicely uniformly spaced out, and you can basically see this accordingly. So you have your weekly candle, your daily candle, and the 4-hour candles that make up this. So you can really see how this weekly candle is basically having TGIF right now. And basically that's just the retracement of a down week. And again, here's the open of the daily candle right here. Price went lower, so open, low, and then high, and then we're looking to close bullishly. and that'll be TGIF. It doesn't have to, but you know, it's already retraced the range. So if you were to look at basically 20 to 30%, it's already fulfilled its TGIF objective. So you're able to, again, change this gap sizing between the candles if you wanted to, but these labels are really nice, and you can also make them bigger if you want. I'll show you how that looks. And again, there's so many features, so it's just all about like what you want to see in price and how you want to calculate your interface. So that looks pretty cool. All right, so automatically positions to the right of all the other stacks. So yeah, we have the higher time frame candles here, and then the weekly T-trades candle, and that's right here. So you can adjust the size if you want, and also show the weekly open. But yeah, that's basically pretty self-explanatory. Fixed a bunch of stuff on the back end from codes, so that's pretty cool. It's like a bunch of the stuff that helps make the tool a little bit more stable, and the info table enhancements. So we have, again, the intra candle, info display, the countdown, the range, and on chart labels, which is what I have selected right here. So we just went through all of these different settings, and I can kind of just open it up for questions now. But this is the new Power of 3 updates, and if you have any kind of things that you want me to like check out on the stream, I'd be happy to do so. Anybody have any questions? It's really, really cool. Because now you could really see how these daily candles are developing in this intra bar. Like right now, you can see prices just basically having higher highs and lower, higher highs and higher lows as it's just working up in that TGIF. We have a little small volume balance here that if price gets a little bit more energetic, it'll probably reach up into, which is this new day opening gap, but we'll see. Price has already fulfilled its objective, so expectations are a little bit lower. Do you guys have any other appreciate you too. Thanks for tuning in. So you want an equilibrium line of the daily and weekly. So if you go over here, there is equilibrium, and this is going to be for the daily right here. So you can take a look at how that looks. It's going to be like a little dashed line. That's how it's set right now. Whoops. Trading view. If you ever get like a calculation timeout or anything like that, just refresh. It should solve it majority of the time. So here's that dash line right here. And that's the equilibrium of the daily range. And you said that you also want the weekly. Since you have the elite collection, you just go to the automatic OTE right here. And what you can do once it loads up, come on, trading view. So you can take out all your fib levels. And if you just want the EQ, you can call this weekly EQ. And then just go to the time frame to a week. And right now, this is the previous week equilibrium. if you wanted the current week, we're coming out with an update soon. Maybe I just leaked one of the updates, but we're coming out with an update soon that basically will track the live candle as well as not just the previous. So that's going to be cool. Oh, if you use previous, then there you go. And if you don't want to see the low or the high, you can just leave the weekly equilibrium here as well. This is the previous week. Depends on if you're on Mac or PC. Mac's just Command R, and then on PC it's Control R. Does anyone else have any other questions? It's been a good stream, short, brief. Went through all of the updates. OTE Pro is good. It's definitely coming out with some new updates too to make it a little bit more supercharged for you guys. And at any point, you know, you guys see that we're constantly updating the tools. That if you have any, like, let's call it suggestions or things that you want to like send out to the team, then we have the Toodegrees portal. You can always submit a formal request, or if you want to just add anything in the ticket section, or you open up a ticket and talk about it and give a little bit of an example of like what you're looking for, we can see how we can incorporate that into the development schedule. All right. Does anyone else have any other questions? Going once. Appreciate the kind words, Carmetta. All right. Doesn't look like there's any other questions, but if you guys are definitely interested in the tool, you could definitely check it out. I did mention that I was going to do a giveaway at the end of the stream. So this is basically towards the end of the stream, and I'm going to launch a giveaway in the chat. And all you have to do is basically just click the little party emoji, and you'll be entered to win. Yep, anyone can enter. Doesn't matter your subscription status. And our giveaway codes don't expire, so if you want to basically hold it off for a specific time, then that's all up to you. We're never gonna force you to use our tools at a specific time. Happy Friday to everybody. What's going on, Ruck? That song is pretty good. I'm recording right now, but I would play the song otherwise. I'm probably gonna be ending the recording soon, and we'll definitely play that song. Pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, I heard that song in Barcelona when I was there. They got some pretty cool nightclubs there. All right, so if you haven't entered the giveaway, basically have one more minute. Well, if you're free and you can't trade, the best second thing that you can do is back test or forward test or strategy refine. Bitcoin really had a pretty significant decline. It's a pretty clean inversion. Break even here. It wouldn't have been stopped out at break even. It would have been a nice trade. But you can see again here. Whoops. That's an interesting one. Say this loads back. Pete, shout out to you. Are you there, Pete? Awesome. Yeah, so you can see the higher time frame candles basically just pushing up in a buy program right now, relative to this Friday opening price. So a really nice clean inversion, set the wick of that daily candle, break even point here, and then basically price just moving up. Very nice. I'm going to take this. Yeah, I got a little bit more than projected. But yeah. If you guys have any other questions, let me know. But this has been an amazing stream. I really appreciate you guys being here. And if you have any further questions, don't ever hesitate to ask. You can open up a ticket. You can tag me directly in the Discord. And yeah, really appreciate you guys. So take it easy and have a wonderful rest of your week and weekend ahead. Bye, everyone.